What if Slay the Spire wasn't just a cool idea, but a full D&D one-shot your table could play tonight? Today we're brewing Slay the Spire into a complete one-shot, breaking down the design, the drama, and the decisions that make it work at the table. Ever wonder how to make Slay the Spire into your D&D campaign? We'll show you how to do it. After all, this is how we brew it. Homebrew is where the heart is. It's where dungeon masters, murder hobos, dice goblins, and chaos gremlins come together to turn big ideas into unforgettable adventures. So how do you take that spark, a setting, a villain, a mechanic, and turn it into something that actually works at the table? It's simple. We brew it. We've got 6 flavorful categories to walk through, designed to help you build campaigns that capture the feel of your favorite worlds and IPs. Today we're doing Slay the Spire, Taylor. But as far as I know, Taylor, you have never played this game.
Correct.
Okay, so that means it's my time to do our ad read for our sponsor, D&Tea. All right. Real talk for a second. If you ever hit that mid-session slump where your brain just logs out right as the dungeon master asks you what to do, giving you a painful choice between blood and more cards. Yes, Abe, that's why I've been drinking D&Tea. This isn't just tea, it's your long rest in a cup. Whether you're channeling arcade focus or trying to survive the game's emotional and very physical damage, D&Tea blends are crafted to keep your mind sharp and your role-playing sharper. Smooth, flavorful, and dangerously easy to drink mid-monologue and mid-run. If you want to try it, you can use code TSP for 15% off. Not only are you upgrading your table experience, you're directly supporting the show. So yeah, grab some D&T, keep your brain online, and maybe, just maybe, you'll defeat the final boss this run. Okay, thanks, D&T, for sponsoring our show.
Hilarious.
Taylor with no context has no idea if that's good or bad. But
well, no, what I do know is that most of the things, the voices in Slay the Spire are voice commands. So yeah. I'm like, I was very surprised you went full vampire with this one. I loved it.
Let's get into the categories of B, base build. What are the core components? R, resonance and vibe. This is where we make our poetic hearts sing. E, extra froth. What makes this wildly fun? What's the spice or razzle dazzle? W, weird for us. That strange little twist you never find on D&D Beyond. I, an inciting quest. Every good campaign needs a reason to leave home. And T, threat level. Let's talk danger. Who or what is the big bad, and how many big bads do we have? Because there's a lot of bosses in this game. It's all about fighting. Okay, so as you've never played the games, Taylor, I'm going to ask, as sometimes we do, what do you think the game is about?
I think it's about a spire, and I think you have to slay it.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, we normally are going to start with the base build here. And this one is more of a build than normal mechanically, right? We can't just go resonance and vibe and be like, play the cool music. Like, yes, that helps, but like, really, the game of Slay the Spire is fun because of the way the mechanics work. And you're building a deck builder that is semi-random, right? And of course, as a roguelite, you get to repeat the process over and over and over, and you roll the dice to see if you can beat the thing. And you get better at doing it over time. So there's a couple questions here, though, as we do this base build. One is that there's a board game out here that lets you play Slay the Spire. And the reason we're touching on Slay the Spire in the first place is because Slay the Spire 2 just came out and it's co-op, which is awesome. So, like, we got to get co-op Slay the Spire and play together. But, like, it's co-op, so, like, we would need to craft a D&D experience that is distinct from the Slay the Spire 2 co-op, it's distinct from the board game, and it's distinct from the original game. So, I will help steer us away from things that would be better in those games. But really, this is one of the essential questions to start is, how can we differentiate our D&D one-shot from those things?
That's a great question. Well, as somebody who's never played the game, it's really hard for me to answer. Something that I'm really, like, interested in, and the idea of roguelites in general, and the constant, like, doing something over and over to try and get better. I'm interested in a D&D one-shot in which the whole thing is a battle, and you learning something new every single time. This also comes from something fascinating that's, like, I think has been done before in, like, a different video game. Where it's like I don't remember the name of the video game, but it's like you play as the bad guy and the hero comes to try and fight you every single time. But depending on what choices you make, it changes how the hero actually interacts with the battle, and how the hero's next battle will be different based on what they learned from what you did. So it's very fascinating, I think, in a D&D one-shot to this idea of oh, your hero, and I'm trying not to jump into other categories, but I'm sorry, forgive me. It's just a habit. But this idea of you being heroes who go to this, maybe the big boss at the end of what Slay the Spire would be, or whatever you would know more than I do what the big boss is. So it's whatever that threat level of that guy is, that's to you, it's that part of the game that you're playing as a D&D one shot. But then at the very beginning, you literally TPK.
Yeah.
First 5 minutes, everybody's dead. Yep. And maybe even having the boss give a seed of give them the last line or a little bit of a monologue while the last person's dying, that when you all come back and you go, wait a minute, we were just here. Oh, we're doing this again? We get another chance to do this again? And giving them little seeds every single time of how to shift things, how to do things differently, or maybe this fight isn't what you thought it was. And maybe it's maybe the bad guy isn't the bad guy. Some little things like that can be really fascinating to play with. That I think might make this different than Slay the Spire. Again, I have no idea. But I think as a concept for a D&D one-shot, I do think it's fascinating to be heroes that are thrown into a fight and then shunted back in time to do it again because they didn't actually find the thing they were supposed to find.
Yes. So one thing that we're touching on here, and the reason I asked Taylor in the first place is because I actually want your perspective as someone who's not played the game in that regard. Because my instincts for base build, which we will still need to talk about, is how do we build a card-like deck builder? And we can give people cards using D&D mechanic. Because there are systems out there, for the record, guys, that do card deck builder style decks and play the game. And that's really cool. Those are pretty awesome. But you could do this with D&D as well. So that's my question. And then how do you randomize stuff and do stuff from there? Because you can also just prepare random encounters, roll some dice, and see what happens. That part's not that hard for Dungeon Master. That's already well built. It's more of how do you make this interesting? And the thing that I think is interesting that you're touching on is you can make the story deeper and richer.
Yeah.
Right? The board game doesn't have a story, not that much. Slay the Spire is loose story of you got to climb the tower to claim the treasure or defeat the evil thing. I don't remember, but that's not the point. The point is it's a cool roguelike. You get to fight a bunch and it's a little grimdarky, sad, dour emo. And it's cool. That's all you need. So also, for the reference to the game you're talking about, I think you're talking about the Dark Queen of Morthholm, Dark Queen of Morm, which is you are literally a Dark Queen, and the hero comes back every time your attack gets better at fighting you.
Yes. Yeah. Great game.
Cool game. You gotta check it out. But yeah, so I think the essential parts for me are for a build is the roguelite mechanic. Otherwise, there's no point, right? And then I would want to do the deck build piece too. And
so that's a main piece of Slay the Spire.
Oh, yes. That is the most important part. That's why it's fun. Is there are each of the main characters you can play. You only get to play one character at a time. Has a different idea of how the deck is built. But there's 3 or 4 different options, and you get to randomly pick cards after every battle you win. You get another card, and you get to pick from 3 options, and the options are randomized. So there's certain builds for I like the rogue dagger character a bunch from Slay the Spire 1, and you can go the poison route where you hit them once and there's a big poison damage over time, or there's one that's where you can throw daggers and throw more and more daggers, and every time you throw a dagger you throw an extra dagger. So every character gets to pick the 3 different trees every time, and so the first run, I'm going to do the dagger run, and then the second one I'm going to be doing the poison run, and you kind of just mix and match. And you also pick up objects and relics and artifacts that enhance or mess with your gameplay, where it's you pick up a relic, it says every poison damage you do is doubled, right? But that's only happens once a game. And then you have to keep running through. The next time you run through the game, you don't pick up the poison artifact. This time it says all of your poison is halved, but your stealth lasts for 2 more turns. Stuff like that. And you're and you just kind of have to adapt to the game randomly assigning you what's going on. But the random assignment of what you get is so much fun. It's like super cool that they do this. So that's why you need like some form of replayability or deck builder. And I do think you can do the deck building part. I don't think it's actually that hard to do in a one shot. Like to balance it for a long campaign, I would have a lot of questions. But for a one shot, I think it's really cool. So anyway, now that I've laid that out, like let's talk about how to do the cards, because that's pretty cool. Any ideas now that I've just kind of shared with the basic things?
Yes. I was waiting. I was like, tap me in, coach. I'm ready. Yes. Sorry, I'm like hitting my mic. Everything's falling over. I love the randomization idea. I think this is a little peek into Taylorisms. Taylor loves random. I think he loves chaos more than he should. But I think when things are random, they're cooler, they're more fun, and they're more fair. So I love the idea of your character sheet being something you don't know you're gonna get until you play until right before the battle. Like I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Now I'm a little bit of an overachiever, so I would say find a way to synthesize the character sheet down to a literal like 4.25 by 5.5 card. I'm like, that's like a quarter of a piece of paper. I'm like, that's the way my brain works, because then it's like a card, you know what I mean? And then you can kind of, as a DM, go, cool, shuffle. Here are 3 options for a character right before your battle. Pick one and give me the other 2 back. You could print out sheets and then like have them face down, and like me and Kai always talk about this, but like simple sheets are better. So if you can find a way for the sheet to be like 1-sided or just 2-sided, that's fine. But like having 3 sheets as options and being able to go, oh, okay, I have 3 characters. I have a paladin. I have a rogue, but it's like a rogue assassin, not a rogue like arcane trickster. And then I have, I don't know, a wizard. Like it's like these are the 3 things I get to pick from. But the next time it's, okay, it's that same rogue that's an assassin, and it's the rogue arcane trickster, and it's not a wizard. This time it's a druid, and it's like, oh, wait, this is totally different. I was a paladin last time. So I do think that's fascinating as far as like choosing and randomization that really like shifts how you have to learn how to play a D&D one-shot and makes it really fun, and I think gets to what you were talking about. I, as a DM, would also probably do the same thing like you were saying for magic items. I wonder if it's like, or maybe weapons. I don't know. I don't want to say weapons because I think those are attached to character sheets. But as far as magic items go, we can like have somebody roll a d6 at the beginning of the fight and be like, how many magic items do you get? 1. Here you go. And like out of a random deck of cards, be like, cool. Oh, what'd you roll in the d6 before this fight? 6? Here's all 6. Like, have a blast. You know what I mean? Or like, again, it's like really utilizing that randomness, I think would be fascinating. But yes, sorry to over talk about this, but I really love the idea of randomization, and I really love the idea of like making cards and like making all of these things cards. Like, lean into it. If you can do the work, make the character sheets cards, like synthesize that information, baby. But yeah, that's my suggestion.
So from a mechanical standpoint, what I would suggest based on what you're suggesting overall, and the only question I would have for you is, because some of the goal of Slay the Spire is you play this character, you learn their nuance and experience how the randomness affects them.
True.
I would not necessarily switch classes, especially for new players. But I would switch subclasses.
Yes.
And or spell lists. Right? Because that's cool. Right? But what I would also do is, one, Slay the Spire has no movement. Eliminate movement. It's like Pokemon battling back and forth. I would also eliminate actually all of the stats.
Yeah.
Because you just need, your stats are based on cards and stuff that you draw.
Yeah, you're just attacking.
There's not a lot of skills, there's not other things like that. And like, if you need, like, I would do it actually as, if you're going to assign everybody skills, everybody rolls d20s with just regular skills, but at the beginning of the game, beginning of the reset, every time they reset, they get a relic or an item that says you have a plus blank bonus to X skill. And so like and you get like 3 skills that you're good at, and you just randomly get assigned good skills every once in a while or something like that, so that it's not that complicated. And it's also like, really interesting and you're randomly rolling for that. I would do that.
Yeah.
And then no stats as other than those bonuses. And then your cards, the cards you draw determine how much damage you do, right? Stuff like that. Because part of the whole deal of designing this to get this would be way more complicated is, which is where it would get too complicated for a one shot unless you really want to design it. And if you do, go nuts. But like we're trying to keep it as simple as possible so everyone can run it.
Right.
Like don't do the deck building parts of like, okay, well here's like we're gonna take a 52 deck of cards and every card that's all less than that's in the spade suit is an attack and everything in this suit is a block. Like don't do that. It's a little bit more complicated and you have to like do special modifiers and stuff. That's where my instincts actually go because I love that kind of stuff, but it's just I think it's too complicated for especially people to learn. Instead, focus on, okay, I'm going to hand you this deck of cards and if you get one of these we're going to roll on a random number table and we're going to start constructing what your character kit looks like, right? And for sure, the easiest way in some ways would be build a random number table for spells. And everybody's a wizard of some kind, right? Or a sorcerer or whatever, but like make them all the same class so that you can kind of have the even number of spells and you just go, here's your spell list this time. And sometimes they're going to have prestidigitation and sometimes they're going to get time stop. And you're going to be wow, right? And you have to have some special rules though, where like time stop's only usable once and like basically auto beats a boss, but like you can only do one of those things and then you're set. Right? Yeah. So if you're going to do the classes though, like simplify it down to like the 2 or 3 things they can do and tell them directly how much damage is done. Basically take the class and make them a monster stat block instead. Right? Like an NPC.
Literally. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Perfect.
And reduce all of the things. Like you don't need to know that for the most part, right, that the wolf has a +2 to dexterity. You just need to know that the wolf bites at +4.
Yeah.
Right? So reduce it down to that sort of stuff, right?
That's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm saying. That's a card. That's a card.
Yes. And you could put that like bite +4, right? Is just a card and you like you randomly distribute that to people.
Done, dude.
Okay. So here's the other essential component, right? Is we have a deck builder now. Right? And we have the roguelite element of if you die, you're just going to get sent back to the bottom of you to go all the way back up. That's simple. We need a little bit of a story for why, but we'll get to that later. Right? The other mechanical thing is each of the cool part about each of the enemies is that you learn the enemy and you realize this is the best strategy to beat this enemy. And the problem, of course, is that enemy may not come back in your next run.
Right.
But you're prepared for it. And eventually you inevitably, this is part of the reason why roguelikes are cool, you inevitably learn to play the whole game and you know how to fight every monster with this specific character build and you defeat them that way. And bosses are like an extra test of this. And like if you get certain boss types, they're like super lethal against certain strategies and super weak against others, but you can't prepare for that boss to be there in that way because you don't know if it's going to show up or not.
Right.
So my question, Taylor, is how do we randomly get a bunch of monsters, but also make them like more like a puzzle or interesting? Because there is no puzzle. The puzzle is the combat, and the puzzle is preparing for all of the different combat encounters you're going to have. And then how do we make a distinction between these regular monsters and bosses?
I mean, like I said before, I truly believe the most fun would be a repeatable fight with one boss. If this is a D&D one-shot. I don't necessarily think throwing too many things at the players would be fun for 3 hours. But I do believe in minions. I do believe in like little guys. I do believe in maybe a big guy. So like as far as like getting the breadth of what the monsters look like and that sort of randomization, make a table. Make a table of all these little monsters. Put number 1, goblin. Number 2, I don't know, Tarask. Number 3, like, extremes. But like, yeah, like maybe not Tarask. Don't do that. But don't. Well, I didn't tell you to do that. If you do that, but yeah, get like a list of monsters and put them on a table and have varying degrees of like amount of monster. Like, you know what I mean? Like if it's goblins, maybe put like 10. If it's, because I'm assuming these players are not going to be level 1. But if it's like goblin, make it 10 goblins. But if it's, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a monster. If it's a Medusa, make it one Medusa, you know? But then like the boss is not on that table. The boss is the boss.
Yeah.
These monsters come randomly depending on what they come in varying degrees based on the time that you're fighting them.
Yeah.
Like how many times you fought them. And it's just, it can be random, or you can plan it out and be like, oh, maybe the boss kind of has like a note, like knows how many times you fought him, so he's going to throw some harder at you, you know?
Right. I would definitely have if you're going to do one boss, you should have the boss be multiple phases, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For sure, right? But also, like, you can have some of those things show up randomly, right? And you can kind of have, like, if you have the boss have 6 phases, for example, and you have, like, 2 phases that are, like, the beginning phase, 2 different types of beginning phases, 2 different types of middle phases, and 2 different end phases, right? Yeah. And you have some distinction of, like, what the boss looks like. So, super simple. It's like, hey, it's red phase, blue phase, red phase, blue phase, red phase, blue phase, right? And in the blue phases, goblins show up. In the red phases, Medusas show up, right? On the first one. And then in this phase, he does shockwave attacks in red phase, and in blue phase, he's casting magic spells. You know, like, you can kind of just mix it all up, and the players can learn, oh, it's red phase for this first section, and you can determine randomly which ones show up, right? You're like, ooh, red phase for this section, we're going to do this, we're going to see these enemies, we're going to fight this, but whatever. And like, they can kind of learn, but it's still semi-random. I think that would be the way to go.
It's a coin flip.
Yeah, to kind of coin flip it around and they'll learn over time, and they'll, like, because after the first run, like, from a timing perspective, they're going to probably take like 30 to 40 minutes to try and fight this boss fight at the first run, right? And then they're like, they die. Everyone's like, no. And then they all wake back up, and it's like, all right, we're about to go in to fight him. And you're like, huh? and then this time they go in, and he's blue. And you're like, what? He was red last time. And then suddenly goblins show up instead of the things. It's like, whoa. And then, but they have different stuff too. And they're like, this is crazy, right? Because then you are like, within how long a boss fight takes in D&D, especially if your party has some of those players who are like, we've had 3 turns before mine that have taken around 5 to 10 minutes, but I haven't thought about what I'm going to do yet. Or, I have thought about it, but I still don't know, even after 10 minutes.
So funny.
But guess what? I'm playing a barbarian, and there's only one thing for me to do.
Yeah.
Swing and hit them.
Yes. If you didn't know, this is the bane of me and Kyle's existence.
I just try not to play with those types of people.
Right. And I find myself at that table regardless.
Because you're kinder than me, yes. So, anyway, right? Like you have the opportunity to maybe run the combat like 3 or 4 times max, and like if you can get it so that the players die within 20 minutes in the first encounter, like you should try and kill them fast, so that, and you should make the boss punishing but exploitable when you understand the weaknesses. But if you don't understand the weakness, you want to make it like punishing,
right?
And the only other thing I would add for this is one of the cool parts about defeating multiple enemies to fight, then getting to a boss, is you build your deck, right? So when you defeat the minion monsters, you should absolutely get more cards, and they're random, right? And that will be cool. And it's like, okay, you fight 4 goblins, you get 4 cards. You beat the Medusa, it's 6 cards.
That's cool.
Right? You get 6 cards and you don't know what it is. And you're like, all right. And you just randomly get stuff. Like, that will be like, oh, we're going to do this. We're going to incentivize this. And it will feel cool. And it'll build a deck. And it will start to introduce the mechanics to players over time. Because also, it's very hard when you're like, oh my God, I have 15 mechanics to learn. It's like, okay, no, like, this is my character. Here's how this works. I kind of get this. I'm fighting the boss and I'm fighting these minions. Someone kills a minion. And you're like, here, extra card. Everyone's like, what? Right? And it's like the wizard just learned, and then there's randomly, and they learned the acid arrow. Cool, I guess. And then someone else does it, and it's like, oh, this person won a flaming sword that does 46 damage. Like, wow, right? Yeah. And then they go and attack, right? And like, these are the types of things you want to distribute so that like people learn the mechanics over time, and then the reset will be like, and like, like over time. So Cool stuff, Taylor. I'm going to ask you then, why? Let's do the inciting quest because then we can do all the little weird stuff on top because we already have the threat of like the boss. But overall, we need to design what the boss is actually like and what's the inciting quest. But let's start with inciting quest. What's the actual in quest here?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think the quest that would be actually interesting is these heroes jumping to the end of what a hero's journey would be, which is these heroes finally facing the final boss of a spire. I don't know what a spire is. Is it a mountain?
A tower.
Tower. Oh, well, yeah. It's like a dungeon.
Yes, that's why you go through a dungeon of monsters and you fight the big guy at the top.
Right. Yes. So I literally think it's the inciting quest is like they finally face the big boss at the end, but the big boss has some kind of magic that if you don't kill him like before this magical, I don't know, chronomancy clock goes off, you get set right back. You know? I think that's fascinating to justify how you start over all the time. That they just get trapped in this endless loop of having to die and fight him. Unless they beat him before that.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, so this is the end of their hero's journey. This is the final boss, and then there's some sort of time magic going on here.
Yeah.
What I would absolutely love is if we used red and blue mode. In red mode, like I want there to be a timer. In blue mode, there's no time. Like
that's fun.
And blue mode, you just die. Like red mode is easier from a boss fight perspective. No, we should flip the colors because people think of red and blue in different ways. We should do blue mode is time.
Yeah.
So the boss is easier, probably has easier but beefier, and you have a time crunch. While red is lethal, but there's no time. You can just take as much time as you want. That is really cool and would theme it really nice.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of come up with who the boss is. Like, it's whatever world you want to create, but like make them some dark time Cthulhu wizard thing that does the ooh.
Not a dark time Cthulhu wizard.
Something like that. Let's kind of talk through each of the phases of the boss. So first, I think the first phases of the boss of red and blue mode are just spawning minions. And you can choose which ones. Let's do the second phase, middle phase. How do we switch it up from like this guy's doing casting spells or whatever as like a regular wizard, and he's got some minions. You fight the minions. What's the second phase?
I think what's always interesting for second phases is what's it called? Is environment changing.
Yep.
So I would say half the floor falls apart. You got to roll to make sure you don't fall with it and die. Or stalagmites start falling from the ceiling. Lava now, like something like the floor is lava, like some stuff like that. I think again, I always go with the floor falls apart and there's a pit, there's stalagmites coming from the ceiling, or there is lava. Those are the three easiest things to run for the second phase.
Well, definitely also, if you're going to do that too, you could, again, in red mode, you could have lava. In blue mode, you could have the floor fall apart or stuff falling from the ceiling. Yeah. And like both of those are different. And so like you could have one of the, and this is on top of this, some of the magic items should be directly dealing with an environmental factor will happen, right? Like there should absolutely be, like, if you're going to have the Medusa as one of the minion types, there should be a magic shield that reflects stuff and turns the Medusa to stone. Yeah. Like, it should be in there because it's random. You don't know when they're going to get it. And you're like, and if they get it the first time, they're not necessarily going to get it again. So it's cool. They should have anti-lava armor, right? Like, stuff like that that's going to be really cool. So don't forget that when you're thinking about the stuff. It should directly deal with problems, and it's okay because A, it's a one-shot, but B, it's random. Yeah. Okay, third phase. What's the third phase?
Okay, third phase for me for bad guys always has to be the change in state of the bad guy. So he gets bigger, he multiplies, he gets smaller. I like to say my favorite thing is he becomes incorporeal at certain times. So like, I'll say that, or invisible, I guess is a better way to say that as well. But like harder to hit. So I would say like maybe you could do that for the blue phase if that's the one that has the timer that now like, for 3 seconds or for like two of the people's turns, of the player's turns, he blinks out of existence and you're just fighting minions. Like, you know what I mean? But like the boss is no longer there. Or in the red phase, like he doubles in size, and so all of his hits are harder, and he's harder to hit, or maybe easier to hit. But
he's easier to hit, but he has more health or whatever.
Yeah, he has more health, and his damaging doubles. Like it's stuff like that. I just think it's like the bad guy himself has to get worse, because it's usually a sign of like, oh, he's about to die, so he has to do something desperate. You know?
Yeah, it's more desperate. He's more monstrous. He's more evil. And as we talk about the story of whatever the story is, you can do a classic, like this is just an evil wizard and you're a party of heroes going to defeat the evil wizard doing the thing.
Yeah.
But like he just gets to do his like, it's time to be even more evil and tell you why. And then he, like, you foolish children, if I would have gotten away with it too, if it weren't for you meddling heroes. And then he goes kaboom and becomes a Cthulhu monster, This is also always the phase in any JRPG where suddenly a chanting chorus of people starts and it's like, oh, and you're like, oh no, it's phase 3. They're chanting.
Like, yeah, they're singing our song.
Yeah. Okay, so just to finally wrap that up, anything that's weird for us or extra frothist on top?
I mean, you should answer that question.
I'll let you give some time to think about it. I think the only thing I would say is one of the fun experiences of the game, as I've said already, is there should absolutely be items that are like very much like, oh, this item is perfectly catered for this niche scenario. One of the other things that shows up sometimes randomly are choices that don't technically affect the game. There's a little story behind it, and then you just can make a choice. And you're like, I don't know which one's going to get what I'm going to get out of making these decisions. And or there's a shop where you get to go and buy stuff. And now the gold part here is I don't necessarily want to add gold to this equation, but like if there's a way for players to like randomly get an item and the item is a shop and they say, all right, I'm going to give you 4 cards, spread out on the table, you can pick 2, right? And you just get choice, like you get more choice beforehand. That will feel so cool. And then the choices of like, okay, right before you, like as you show up, there's a dark like voice in your head that says blank, 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 and blank, 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 and it offers you things, right? And again, this is a random encounter. This doesn't always happen. And then you say, okay, the player makes a choice, choose A or B, and they choose B this time, and they get something random. But if they go and they make that same choice next time, if they happen to run into the encounter again and a different player gets the choice or the same choice, it will not have the same result if they choose B because it's semi-random how it goes. Those types of encounters are always fun and influence the run of what you do, for sure. And those types of randomness where you give them big buffs and or weird choices are what makes it like extra cool and what makes Slay the Spire very exciting and what makes Slay the Spire just super awesome in general. Anyway, that's some extra froth. Any other thoughts there, Taylor?
No, I actually think that's good.
Okay, let's talk about the recap. For doing Slay the Spire as a one-shot, we're going to remove as many stats as possible and make all the players' sheets into cards and like basically like a monster stat block and take away movements and skills. We're going to randomly give them magic items at the start that determine what damage they do and randomly assign them spells, lists, or subclasses for each run. We're going to defeat minions. Defeating minions will get them more cards from the deck of stuff that they randomly get. The boss that they're going to fight has 3 phases or more and should have 2 different modes, red and blue mode, which spawns different enemies and different minions and behavior patterns. Red mode is harder, but there's no time. It's just more lethal, while blue mode is timed, but it's a little easier. Plot is the end of the hero's journey. All this party has already gone and defeated everybody and done this stuff, and they've got this big story behind them, and this is the final confrontation. But guess what? The wizard can manipulate time, and that's why we're here. For the first phases of the boss fight, it's going to be minion plus wizard in the tower, fighting. The second phase will change the environment. There's floors that are going to fall apart. The stuff's going to fall on the ceiling. Maybe there's lava that just emerges from nowhere or like whatever. And this is a great opportunity to just have some people in your party straight up die the first round because they're not expecting it. And then you're like, oh my God. And then they're like, we're going to be out for the rest of the game. And then of course the time for the pick brings them back and they're like, whoa. So get ready for that. And then the third phase is is when the boss gets bigger, or he multiplies himself, or becomes incorporeal, and that depends on which phase they're in. We suggest for the blue phase, he's unhittable half the time, while red phase, he's big and does big damage and has more HP. Anyway, and with a little stuff just for us, try and throw in some interesting choices, or like a shop that lets people kind of make some interesting choices as opposed to just combat that influences their deck and their deck build. All right. That's everything for Slay the Spire and how to brew it. If you like content like this, you can like and subscribe for more content like this. Look at that word soup I just said. Thanks very much, everybody.
This is how we brew it. Jurassic Park, How to Train Your Dragon, The Princess Bride, Inception, Matrix, Mad Max, Fury Road, John Wick, Ghostbusters, Pokemon, Hunger Games, 28 days later.
Hey there, just want to shout out to our patrons. Thanks so much for subscribing on Patreon and supporting the show. Thanks to Count Bubba, Fizz, Fedorable Will, Richard, Varner Jr., and Who's Scruffy Looking.